Do you want to be able to absolutely destroy bosses while also maintaining a high AoE damage output? And on top of that, the build also comes with a built-in CC mechanic that will increase your damage even further. Do I got the build for you? What's up, world? We're back in the video to checking out all things Diablo 4. Okay, so I've been doing some experimenting, and this, yes, is on the live servers. So I did get as high as I could on the live servers to try to get a build guide out for you guys, and that way this deals with all the live changes, and it isn't anything from server slam. I didn't get early access, so this isn't anything from that. This is live servers currently right now. So yes, this build is currently working in the live version, and it is probably my favorite build that I've made in Diablo so far. It has good sustainability against elites. It does insane amounts of damage. It also has a ton of sustainability. You can even do 3 elite pulls, pulling 3 elites together and just doing all-out damage. It's so nice to use. And the builds in this game are just as good as today's sponsor, Bloodline Heroes of Lithas, where gacha gameplay reaches new heights of uniqueness. On top of mesmerizing visuals that will transport you into a realm of pure wonder, this hero card collector fantasy RPG allows you to build your kingdom and collect champions to defend it. You can even create your own unique legendary champions by uniting the bloodlines of elves, demons, demigods, orcs, dwarves, lycans, dragonborn, and vampires. Wait, did I mention the game is also free? Download it anytime using my link down below in the comments, or even scan the QR code on the screen, and using my link will also get you a starter pack worth $20. There has never been a better time to start playing Bloodline, as they're giving away so many rewards during this 1-year anniversary. You can claim abundance of resources, diamonds, and even free summons just by logging in every day. You're even able to marry your champions and create over 1,000 different hybrids, which leads to endless possibilities for your lineup strategies and builds. And now there's even more possibilities with the new Titan and Nine-Tailed champions releasing on June 1st. And these hybrids that inherit their traits and talents from their parents also inherit their unique appearances. But these also lead to the ability to purchase skins, which lead to these awe-inspiring visuals. There's also some awesome rewards for late-game PvP that includes uniquely designed hybrid champions. So whether it's building your own kingdom with economic strategies, beautiful sceneries, and interesting storylines, or even raising your own heirs with companions and waifus, this game's got you covered. So go ahead, jump into the game using my download link down below or the QR code on screen, which will also get you that $20 starter pack, and the first 30 players to leave their account ID and username under my pinned comment will receive a legendary female Titan warrior. Okay, but let's jump right back into that build. And I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to refund my points just so you guys can follow along. It's going to cost me a little bit here, I think like 50k. Now this is an ice build, but it is honestly a lot of fun to use. So I'm going to go ahead and refund here so that you guys can follow along. So first up, we'll go right into Frostbolt. And this is a really good ability for chilling. We're also going to go into the enhanced Frostbolt right after that, and then we're going to come over into here and grab into our vulnerability. Now I would skip out on the mana generation one. There's going to be a ton of stuff later in the build. If you want to use this for now at the very beginning, you can use the mana one, and then that will help you while you're leveling. However, I still recommend getting to like level 15 or 16 before using this build, and this build doesn't really open up as much as it does once you get to the higher levels. After that point, we're going to go here, we're going to come down into here, we're going to go ahead and grab our ice shards. Now you probably could have grabbed that first other than our flickering frostbolt, but that's okay. We'll go into ice shards probably first and then come into here, and then we'll also grab our vulnerability perk. Again, I think this one, yeah, this one's put the barrier involved. You don't even have barrier at this point, at least not yet, so we're gonna come into this. We'll come down into here, and there's gonna be a few ways that you could work this out in a few different ways, but I like to get the mitigation right away. It really helps out on early playstyles, so I'm gonna go ahead and get the ice armor with the first mana regeneration. At the very least, if you want to speed level it, then I would come into teleport first and then get your ice armor, but I would definitely go into both of these right away. That way you have a lot of mobility and you have good sustained damage. Now we're going to come into the first perk here, as this is going to give us a nice bit of mana regeneration on top of that. So we'll come into the enhanced ice armor. We'll come back over here, and you have a few options here. I usually go back into ice shards maybe once or twice, but I also like to come into glass cannon. So a lot of times here, instead of going back into ice shards, I'm going to go into glass cannon until we get to this point here where we can get our next perk. So we'll come into glass cannon, and remember we have the sustainability here with ice armor, so we should be just fine. So now that we have this open up, but before we go into that, we're probably going to want to go into our Frost Nova, as this is going to be really big for CCs. This is kind of our main ability while we're putting down a lot of that sustained AoE damage and also adding stagger to the bosses. So we're going to grab that first Frost Nova, and we could come into here and grab this next. However, I would probably recommend grabbing the Hydra first. And then for Hydra, I would also grab the extra healthy head. That way you have that there and you have more sustained damage. Now we can come back into Glass Cannon and get that extra little bit there. You should be able to handle this damage at this point, and so you should be just fine. Now we're going to come back into our Frost Nova as we want to get the vulnerability stuff with it, and so we're going to pump this out here. Now you should be around level 18 or 19 when this build kind of fully comes online, especially with Frost Nova. Now you could, again, not take Glass Cannon for the damage, and you could wait on Hydra and go into Frost Nova first to get those vulnerability stuff. However, it's on a long cooldown, and the build for that doesn't really, again, come online until we get later on. We're also going to want to come into Align the Elements. Again, you could switch this out for Hydra. You could take this a little bit earlier on. That way you have that sustained damage against those elite mobs. Now coming down here, we're probably going to skip out on everything here just for right now. But we're going to come back up into our build here, and we're just going to kind of pump back and forth into our Frostbolt and our Ice Shards. And we're going to do this until we get down to about this point and this point here. Really, more so what we're looking for is to get to here as quickly as possible. There's a really good ability for sustained mana. So we'll come back in here, we'll kind of pump these out to 5. We'll at least get pumped out in Ice Shards to 5, and then we'll come back in here and we'll put 1 into Frostbolt. Now at this point we can come down here and you could take this 5% elite damage. I liked that at the start, so I'm going to pump out all 3 into it right away. I think that 15% increased frost damage was really good, especially for kind of targeting mobs. Then you could go back into your auto ability and put points into there, but we're just going to kind of finish it out with that. Now once we're into here, we can go into this as well, which will increase the damage against the vulnerable enemy. And so we're going to go all 3 into that as well. Now at this point, these are kind of smaller segments here. This is good for mana regeneration. We are going to grab this in a bit, but I would come back up here and just finish out your main ability here, Frostbolt. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to pump all the way up to 5. That way you're doing good auto attack damage. Now once that's pumped out back at 5, we can come back down into here and we can go ahead and pump the rest into here. We can take this one here, and then we can go ahead and take the mana one, or even this chilled one, which is more damage. This one here is good for mana regeneration, although we're going to have a great amount of mana regeneration here with this perk here, so I would suggest going into Hoarfrost first, and then we're going to immediately, as soon as this unlocks, you're going to come into Avalanche immediately. It is a great perk. It's better than Shattered, and this one's incredible for mana regeneration. It also does insane amounts of damage against vulnerable enemies, so we're going to go ahead and pump that out there. Coming back into here, we're going to go ahead and pump the rest out of Hoarfrost, and then we're going to come back into Frigid Breeze. We're also going to pump that up to 3 out of 3, so now we're full chained here, and we have a good amount of 8 points left. Now after this point, you could probably look around and see there's just really not much else you can go into besides more frost stuff here. So that's what we're going to do, but we're only going to put 1 into Frost Barrier because we want to unlock these 2. And these 2 abilities grant some really good bonuses here. I would probably go into Chill Zone here, so that way bosses are kind of getting that nice chill frozen. However, if you want to have the more kind of occasional freezes, then you can come into Snap Freeze, and I would also pump that out with all 3 there. Now that we have a point left over, there's a few things we could do with it and throw it into. We don't have anything crazy. We could put it into Hydra for a little bit more damage. We could put it into the CC remove, or the cooldown removal rather, on Frost Nova. I would probably go back into at least into Hydra and kind of pump up that damage a little bit, and so we're going to put that at 2. I'm going to also do that because I also have a legendary that gives me 2 heads. I believe I still have it on. Yeah, here we go. I still have the additional Hydra head, so I'm going to pump that out there. However, Frost Nova is a lot of this build, and so the cooldown is about 1 second every time you put a point into this, and so this is definitely really needed. You could also swap out one of these if you don't want the freeze ability. You could throw all 3 into here and take that cooldown reduction. For right now, I'm okay with it, and I don't mind having the longer cooldown. However, eventually I will pump these points into here, as I really don't have many things to go into. This barrier thing, increased duration, I don't think a 15% increased duration is that good for right now. I'm not going to use it, so I'm going to stay away from that and probably just pump the rest into Frost Nova. But for now, that's my build up to level 43. I think it's pretty good for day 1. Especially with everybody else getting to like level 20-ish, and I'm not in a group, so I'm getting pretty close to the group comps. A lot of them are around like I think level 50 and 48, 49 right now, so I'm keeping as close as I can. And if you guys could please check out the sponsor link, it would mean a lot to me and it would really help out the channel, as this is one of my first And I really am just grateful to be in this type of position for that. But if you enjoyed today's video, like and subscribe. Until the next one. Deuce.